Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, mothers, fathers, daughters, sons, brothers, and sisters. Welcome to the opening 2 rounds of the EnduroKa Winter Series here on Grid Finder on behalf of MSVT. My name is Chris Buxton. I'll be your commentator throughout tonight's festivities. As the eagle-eyed amongst you will spot, we are at Brands Hatch Indy for these opening 2 rounds. We had the preliminary testing just before Christmas. We enjoyed the scenery of Alton Park. We only had a few of us with us on that particular occasion, unfortunately, but we have got, I'm very, very happy to say, a few more cars joining us for tonight. I believe 12 took part in the pre-practice sessions, or have done it leading up to this particular event. There are 7 cars currently in session. I think a few more may join us. I did spot there were 12 drivers joining us in the drivers briefing. So the practice session has ended. Let's get rid of the overlay there. So as you can see, we are at Kent's finest. We are at Brands Hatch, a wonderful, wonderful place. I have enjoyed the surroundings of Brands several times. And the EnduroKa series comes over to the Indy circuit for two races, as we say, rounds 1 and 2. So we will be totting up the points after the event has finished. Jake Wardle at the top of the tree at the moment, although this is just a practice session as mentioned. So Jake Wardle was actually one of the quickest cars in our pre-season practice. As we now head over to qualifying, we will see then if this pecking order, so Jake Wardle, Andy Greer, Hardy, Roy Mallington, I'm afraid I don't know who Von is. Not every name has translated. It does occasionally happen. We don't get everybody's name in due course. We have David Edwards, we have Sebastian Vrul, and Wirra. Now, Wirra, I was told who that is. That is Will Johnson, that is joining us in the AFK car. Hopefully he isn't AFK, which commonly stands for away from keyboard. That is my commentary position. It's a nice plush little theatre bath. I get to sit in the pit lane. You can see towards the end there, the car's just lining up, ready to get qualifying underway. And then we will get the first of our 2 grids for tonight ready to roll. So when we did the pre-season test over at Alton Park, it was, as I say, Jake Wardle that was top of the tree on that particular occasion. He's a Ford Fiesta Junior racer. And I believe he did have plans to be setting up his own winter series. That's a wonderful camera pan, isn't it? Right behind the sign. Thank you very much, camera, for that. Somewhat colourful livery going on there. Now, according to that particular notice there, we should have 10 cars with us. And qualifying has now begun. So 15 minutes qualifying session. As soon as someone leaves the pit lane, there we go. We can get the off-board cameras going. It is Mr. Mallinson, I believe it's Roy Mallington, that has left the pit lane first, and the number 66 car, the Graves Motorsport liveried entrant. Now, I do understand some of the liveries may need updating, so we have tried to get them as close to representative as possible. Some of them haven't quite updated, as you would imagine. But either way, we will have some fun tonight, I am sure. A few names that I didn't mention earlier on. So, for instance, Colin Dunn is out there in the Positive Perception liveried number 19. Mark Rabenbury is looking forward to, and I quote, some Buxtonisms. So thank you very much, Mark. I make no apologies for my Buxtonisms either. So yes, Colin Dunn in the number 19 Positive Perception car. Tom O'Farrell as well as another name that I have enjoyed the company of in virtual sim racing form in the number 97, the 2F Media Productions liveried car. So everyone just finding their own bit of space. These cars may well be lightly powered, but either way they are still looking to get some space. So it is Mallinson that is first out there. And so will be first set of times. So the times you're seeing on the tower are those that from the practice session, so they are not set for qualifying just yet. As we are seeing Roy then coming down through Graham Hill Bend, along the Cooper Straight, through Surtees and up towards Clark. What time does he get on the board? We were seeing as low as 102s, 101s. I think is doable. It's going to be pretty impressive. I think 102s was what young Mr. Wardle was setting in the pre-practice session. What does Roy Mallinson get on the board? Let us see. It's a 103.4, immediately bettered by Jake Wardle right behind him in the 155 car. That's a 102.994. And okay, Will Johnson straight up to the top and in the Haggerty Motorsports number 42 with a 102.789. Now a couple of tenths of a second, maybe a considerable gap in some disciplines. Of course, in these 1.3 litre Mark 1 cars, 0.2 of a second is a very, very minimal amount. Sebastian Vettel in the 247 car. What time does he get on the board? Tom O'Farrell, I know, is better. That 2-minute time is more what I will do. We have a 10th. Okay. I have no choice but to call. I have no choice but to call this driver Acid. I'm afraid I am given what I am given. So the 165 car, driven by Acid, whoever that may be. Hopefully, I might get updated as to who that is. We do have a bit of a strange graphical glitch. Part of his number seems to be trying to attach itself to the pit lane for some strange reason. Tom O'Farrell, as mentioned, number 97. I told you he could do better than 2 minutes. A 102.583 then in the number 97 car, picking up a bit of a toe from Sebastian Vettel. Oh, Sebastian. Now, this is a bit of an awkward thing. If we ride on board with Tom O'Farrell, so this is always an awkward spot for someone on a qualifying lap and someone trying to be on a qualifying lap, where both of them want the space, but neither of them want to, give way to the other. And now Sebastian Vettel is trying to pick up a bit of slipstream from Tom O'Farrell. Why not? So what does Tom get on the board then? Does he improve from the 102.583? Probably not, because he was slightly compromised coming through Clark. And indeed, he does not improve. Oh, my goodness me. That is very lively from Sebastian Vettel. And that is off into the dust at Paddock Hill Bend. I've been to many a virtual lap there. Paddock Hill Bend. I've always killed my arch nemesis corner in sim racing terms, although admittedly I haven't raced for quite some time. An improvement there from Will Johnson. So he jumps. He improves his time, but not his position in the number 42 car. 102.654 improves on his gap to young Jake Wardle, who is in third still on that 102.994. His opening lap of the session, wandering a bit wide on the exit of Graham Hill Bend, which is very, very easy to do indeed. Now we'll see if he is able to improve. Let's see, he was very, very, very quick in the pre-season testing we did at Alton Park before Christmas. See then if he is able to repeat the feat. And over the line, does he improve on his time? Not yet. Still a 102.994 for young Jake. See then if he is able to find any more time than that. There was a green sector for Will Johnson, Will sector 1, but didn't improve any better. A purple sector 1 for Tom O'Farrell. So he is fastest of anybody in the first sector. Oh, crikey. That was very close. Very close to acid is a very weird sentence to say. But I'm afraid I have no choice but to call the 165 driver Acid. So does Tom improve even further? 102.583 still his time. He does indeed. At 102.428 now from the number 97. Very nicely done indeed. Oh, Jake's had a bit of a bump. Oh, I wonder if he's nudged the wall. Colin Dunn has managed to get inside the top 102.3 now, so he's on the front of the second row with a 102.933, just 700ths of a second quicker than young Jake. As a young Jake, pretty much everybody's younger than me anyway. I'm used to being the elder statesman of sim racing. Oh, picking a bit of toe there from Sebastian Vettel. Why not? Is Colin done? Does he improve further? A 102.894, so yes he did. He found another 300 or 400ths, I think, on that particular lap. So another improvement. Pulls over. You can't park there, sir. And there we go. There's one of the things you can do in sim racing. We have lost David Edwards. We did have David in the 107 car. He has unfortunately disconnected from the session, so hopefully he is able to rejoin us. We do still have some green sectors being set. So I beg your pardon, Rory Mallinson, not Roy Mallinson. I do beg your pardon, sir. So the number 66 on a green sector 1. What can he do here? Over the line for the number 66, 103.445, his previous best, as an improvement in time but not position. 103.318, his time still sees him in 6th place. Right, who else can we have a look at? Vaughn in the number 26 car. Was not an improvement in the first sector. So a 104.148 his time is not seen an improvement on this occasion. What about the driver known as Acid? The 165, a 107.399. Over the line, is there an improvement on this occasion? There is. That's a 106.319, so a good second found there. Another just under 0.8 of a second to find. Closing on Sebastian Vettel. Oops, do not be wandering off over there. Tom O'Farrell has returned his car to the pits. Will Edwards, Will Edwards, now muddling up names. I beg your pardon. Will Johnson, excuse me, is on the move once again, trying to find what is. Oh crikey, how close is that? That's not even 1/10 of a second. To see himself and Will Farrell 900 of a second. That's not going to do it though. Wandering too deep, going through Graham Hill Bend. So easy to do, so very easy to do indeed. Unfortunately, we still have lost David Edwards, so I'm hoping he is able to rejoin. He's got 5.5 minutes of qualifying left to go, so hopefully he's able to rejoin us. More the merrier. So it was a little bit light for our pre-season testing. We only had 4 cars for that one. Now the D doth turn to a P, which means he is back in session. So David Edwards has returned to us. Glad to see it. 107 car. Yep, there he is. That is a very bright colour indeed. Tom O'Farrell back on track then. Our current pole sitter, 102.428, still remains his time. Are we seeing any greens? We're seeing actually constant improvement from Acid. So a 105.989. That's just 0.4 off the back of Sebastian Vettel, who in turn has been improving his time off the back of David Edwards in David Edwards' absence. So good to see improvements continuing to come in. Tom O'Farrell has just started another lap. Was right on board then with our pole sitter. Gets the nose turned in, lets the tail slide a little bit. Uses as much of the runoff area as you dare. Up the hill towards Druids. Gets over to the apex early. The gearbox does sound like it's about to fall out of these cars. But that is how they are designed to be driven. Again, uses all the AstroTurf on the outside line of the exit of Druids. Down towards Graham Hill Bend. We've seen numerous drivers wandering a bit too wide. Use the rumble strip there. Use the AstroTurf. You're perfectly allowed to do that. And that is not an improvement on the first sector time for Tom O'Farrell. Through Surtees, up towards Clark Curve. And just bleeds off a bit of speed to get the car turned in, keep the car settled, downhill and up towards the line. 102.428, his current best on the board, and that lap will be a 102.305. So it's only 2 sectors on timing. You can actually see that on the map in the bottom left-hand corner. The red line is the start-finish line. The yellow line denotes the split between the 2 sectors, and that was enough to improve the pole time again. We started to 102.305. We were, I believe, in one of the practice sessions, we did see 101s, if I remember rightly, from Tom O'Farrell as well. Any more for any more. Colin Dunn has come over the line at 102.752. His time still sees him on the second row alongside our double race winner from the preseason test of Jake Wardle. So does he find an improvement here? Does Jake? Well, Colin, let's see, is anybody on the green times? Yes. Red number 165 was on a green sector 1, so personal best sector 1 for Acid. And we have a very late joiner in the form of Joshua Coleman. Wow, you are cutting that fine, sir. And that was an improvement from Acid. Jumps up to 8th at 104.712. Well, Jake, in the V-Box liveried number 93, you've got very little time, but you are in the race. Oh, that's a perfect demonstration of understeer. Bravo, sir. Well played. Josh Coleman then, 102.305, the time he is chasing. 102.518 still from Will Johnson in second place. Colin Dunn currently sits in third. 102.752. Jake Wardle in fourth, 102.917. Oh, that sounds like someone's doing some lawn mowing. Oh, that's Acid. The 8th place car's been doing that steady improvement. That's going to aggravate a couple of cars. That's the number 26. That is just coming over the line of Von. Haven't looked at him for a little while. I suspect that's somewhat put Jake off as well. Von in the number 26 doesn't have 26 in the outer tower, unfortunately. But we will keep an eye on him. Right, Jake Coleman should be on. I've done it again. Joshua Coleman, excuse me. Should be on a timed lap now. What can he get on the board? And 20 seconds until the flag falls. Any laps that have been started will be allowed to finish. Tom O'Farrell just pulling his car into the pit lane. He is done for the session. Josh Coleman won't have time to start another one after this, as the flag is going to drop. So Tom O'Farrell will start up from pole. Colin Dunn no higher than third. Dave Edwards will not improve with a 105.023. What does Josh Coleman get on the board? It is a 105.833. So we'll be starting at the tail of the field. Does Will Johnson improve? Several cars coming over the line. And a few locks brakes as well. I think there may have someone else doing some lawn mowing around Graham Hill Bend. Sorry, around Paddock Hill Bend. Yeah, you definitely can't park there, sir. And Sebastian Vrawl bringing his car back into the pits. I think that is our qualifying session done and dusted. Yeah, well, if you were on a lap, that has come to an end. I think Rory Mallinson has had an argument with the wall somewhere and remains where he is, jumping his car back to the pits. As Josh Coleman is coming over the line, so perhaps he is been allowed to complete this lap. 105.833, his opening gambit, a 105.472. His next lap, and off into the dust. Now, sim racing does not have the requisite of doing 3 time laps, or 3 complete laps, I should say, before you go racing. As most Motorsport UK events do. So the only car out there is indeed Acid. So your grid is set then for the first race of tonight. Tom O'Farrell and Will Johnson will be starting on the front row. Right behind them, beg your pardon, is Colin Dunn and Jake Wardle on row 2. Andy Greer-Hardy very close, just 400ths to the back of Jake Wardle, will start alongside Rory Mallinson on row 3. Then is our two lesser known names of Von and Acid on row 4. The session has now ticked over, or is now ticking over to the race. David Edwards in the somewhat lemon and lime accented car, the 107, will start on row 5 alongside Sebastian Vroon, and our very late starting Josh Coleman will start at the back of the field on row 6 in 11th position. Now a bit of a chance to have a look at some of the liveries that are being sported for this event. There is Tom O'Farrell's car. Too bad at all. I must admit I am somewhat partial to some of the green dominant liveries, and I make no apology for that. That is quite a nice one there, I must admit, from Will Johnson in second place. Colin Dunn. I've enjoyed his virtual sim racing company numerous times over the years. So good to see Colin taking part. There's Jake Wardle, as mentioned, our Ford Fiesta racer. And was looking to set up a sim racing series himself over the next few months. So we'll have to check in with him on how he got on with that. That one is very, very... I love that. Team Catus. Very, very much a fan of that. That, I confess, is somewhat my favourite livery along the field. And I make no apology for it. There is Rory Mallinson's Graves Motorsport effort. Graves... we see a number of their cars in various series. Oh, we have a Rogue Fiat at the back. Hopefully that car will retire itself. That's actually race control. So we are getting ready then for race number 1. Lights will be coming on very, very shortly. Come on, cameras. Oh, someone's bouncing off the rev limiter for the first time tonight. It is time to wind them up and to let them go. Right, who's got the best start from these very lightly powered cars? Looks like it's going to be a great effort there from Will Johnson as he is running down towards the line. Thankfully, our errant Fiat seems to have retired itself back to the pits. 10 starters for the event. So has anybody had a bit of a misnomer? It looks like everybody has managed to get away quite nicely. It's Farrell from Johnson, from Colin Dunn, your top 3. Big move there from Coleman. He's trying to make up places from his very late joining of qualifying. He's already gotten ahead of Edwards, and Sebastian Vroon had to start from the pit lane, did not get the start he needed, and side by side almost for O'Farrell and Johnson, as that is side by side for Wardle and Dunn. So Jake Wardle has managed to get ahead, riding on board then with Andy Greer-Hardy. He's got a great ringside seat for the battle for third. He's having a look on the inside line coming up towards the right-hander at Clark Curve. Side by side there for the lead. You can see just ahead Tom O'Farrell defending that outside line to normal racing line. As you can see, Johnson trying to take the lead side by side as they come over the line for the first time in anger. It's a 20-minute race, this one, and Johnson couldn't quite do it. Tom O'Farrell just defending the gap he needs. Then it's a 3-car group. Wardle, Dunn and Greer-Hardy now coming down the hill once again at Paddock Hill Bend, up Pilgrim's Rise towards Druids. Look at the defensive posture young Wardle is having to put into place. He was fairly free of challenge during the pre-season testing. Does not enjoy the same this time around. Then behind them is a 4-car group, or roughly 2 pairs you could argue. Mallinson and Acid with Von and Coleman. In that particular group, Dave Edwards is a little bit of a distant spectator. 40 Sebastian Vroon having a really, really tough start is some way back. So then, the top 2 breaking away. Tom O'Farrell is not dancing off into the distance. He's got Will Johnson nailed to his boot. Riding on board once again with Johnson. As Tom O'Farrell holds that inside line. Letting the cars wander over to the racing line, and that is Johnson going for the inside line, coming up towards Paddock Hill Bend once again. Doesn't commit to it. Decides that discretion is the better of course. The Valor nearly goes off into the dust on the exit of Paddock Hill Bend. Fantastic. Who says the cars have got to be powerful to have good racing? Oh, Colin Dunn's got that one all wrong. Oh, goodness me. Well, front wheel drive, point the nose in the right direction and booted. That's really wrong-footed Greer Hardy. He had nowhere to go. Nudges the back of Colin Dunn. He manages to recover. And Greer Hardy has potentially lost the spot to Rory Mallinson. Can the number 66 get the momentum he needs? Just about. So that's 5th position in the hands of the number 66. Now, Greer Hardy, he did nothing wrong there. Just had nowhere to go, unfortunately. But he is, well, interesting there. Now, looked like Mallinson either went for the racing line, not realising Greer Hardy was there, or perhaps relinquished the position back. No particular need to. I think that's Andy Greer Hardy being opportunistic there, gaining that 5th position back from the number 66. As of now, a little bit on his own. Coleman is up to 8th position now, having gotten ahead of Von and David Edwards. So, what might have been for him, but is that another challenge for the lead? No, Johnson staying where he is for now. Superb effort there. All 11 cars still running at the moment. Back down the hill. Graham Hill bend. Oh, you saw that Johnson really had the momentum, runs a tiny bit wide, but had nowhere to use that momentum. Surtees. Through towards Clark once again. Oh, and that's a mistake from Tom O'Farrell. A rare mistake from Tom O'Farrell. Relinquishes the lead. Ran that tiny bit too wide. He knew it. He would have known it as soon as he tried to commit. Gets into the slipstream with the 42. Gives him a bit of a nudge as well. A bit of bump drafting. Why not? These things can't lose the bumpers. Well, they can if you hit them hard enough. So the new race leader, Will Johnson, takes over the number 42 car. Up the hill towards Druids once again. Tom O'Farrell trying to get whatever momentum he can. These Ford KAs, these are based on Mark 1 Ford cars, built between 2002 and 2008. Colin Dunn still keeping Jake Wardle company. There's 1300cc engines in these cars, all designed to be single spec, and that's Von having a look at Josh Coleman. Josh really defended the inside line, but that's wrong-footed him coming through Graham Hill bend. That opens the door for Von and through back up into 8th position then. As up top, Tom O'Farrell will not be easily shaken by Will Johnson. As they continue, whilst they're battling for the lead, they are still opening that gap between themselves and the next pair of Dunn and Wardle. Fastest sector one time, if anybody, was Will Johnson last time around. Fastest lap of the race, who's got that? It is actually Johnson. Colin Dunn trying to get an opportunity to wrong foot Jake Wardle, but no dice so far. Then the next pair right behind them, Andy Greer Hardy and Rory Mallinson. They're fairly settled, about a second roughly between the two. I keep reading that team name as Team Cactus, not Team Cartus. Rest of the field now just settling into their own rhythm. O'Farrell, what can he do here? Not the most aerodynamically efficient cars in the world, so slipstream will certainly help them, even in these very lightly powered cars. Fastest second sector of anybody with O'Farrell. The amount of slipstream he was picking up, he gets a good line through, and that's forced a mistake for Johnson, and that's the lead back in the hands of Tom O'Farrell. It's caused Johnson to go a tiny bit too deep, and that's given O'Farrell a second's advantage now. Hanging on to third then is Jake Wardle. Colin Dunn keeping the pressure in the number 19 car. So Colin was about a tenth and a half quicker than Jake on the previous lap, and it's been very nip and tuck between the pair of them. Next to nothing to call between them. Then it is Greer Hardy and Mallinson behind them. Aston and Vaughn, looks like those two are closing down on each other again. Again, very similar lap times between the two cars. Oops, that's a bit of lag there going on. That's technical trouble then for Acid. He suddenly lost a fair amount of time. It was a bit worrying when you're closing in on someone and you're not 100% sure where they are. And there we go. So some connectivity difficulties, it looks like, for Acid. That's going to confuse the tower as well. So O'Farrell leads Johnson. Wardle leads Dunn. Bit of a gap now forming between our third and fourth cars. As Colin, last time around, was about 4/10 slower than Jake Wardle. Oh, and that's trouble. Oh, and that's a big slide there for Vaughn. There was a coming together between those two cars on the way down from Druids towards Graham Hill Bend. That's allowing Coleman to get his momentum going again. Coleman was about a 10th or so slower than the cars ahead of him. How far behind them is Dave Edwards, who's been slowly minding his own business. Wrong sentence. Has been minding his own business and slowly reining them in, was what I was trying to say there. Top two. Now a little bit of a gap between them. But saying that, Johnson was 4/10 quicker than O'Farrell last time around. And nearly 5 seconds between them and the next two cars, as Vaughn is now closing in on Acid once more. Edwards is closing in on Coleman. So we do have a battle going for the tail end of the top 10 at the moment. Riding on board there with Dave Edwards, the 107. The lemon and lime accented car, as I called it earlier. Potential 4-car strain for me. A bit more cautious coming through Graham Hill Bend. Edwards, and it's so important to maintain your momentum as much as possible in these lightly powered cars. Sometimes the harder you try and drive them, the slower you go. Oh, so I think someone's made a mistake. We did hear that someone bogged down there. Looks like it's Coleman. It's been closed right in on Edwards. As that looks like it's, yeah, that's a lag moment there that's upsetting the tower again. David Edwards very close once again to the back of Josh Coleman. Both of them hugging the inside line. Coming through Paddock Hill Bend. The tail getting a bit loose on the 93. It's Edwards. He had a look at the inside line, but Coleman, having none of that, slammed the door shut before they get up to Druids. Superb battle going on between these two. Half the race done now. Vaughn on the back of Acid once again. That's a poor exit from Graham Hill Bend for the 165 car. They're both side by side. Vaughn a little cautious on the inside line of Surtees. Backs out of that. Doesn't fancy going side by side there. Gonna have another go. Going up towards Paddock Hill Bend once again. And it looks like he's going to get his opportunity then as they come over the line once more. And thinks about it. Does he commit? He's gone for it, but can't draw alongside. But has he forced the mistake? As Acid's gone a little bit too deep, he's going to lose the momentum there. Side by side now coming up towards Druids. Vaughn nips through into 7th. Hugs that inside line, and that is the move done. And parks it on the apex. Nicely done, but that is inviting Coleman and Edwards to close in on the 1.5 seconds between the two pairs now. Ooh, a bit uncomfortable there for Vaughn coming out of Graham Hill Bend. That's going to draw these two alongside once again. We're right on board with Josh Coleman, who is in a great position to see them. And I think Vaughn has kind of relinquished that one. They're giving each other so much racing room. It's compromising both their lines as they come together. Oh no, so Acid was trying to resume the racing line. Vaughn was still there. That's going to completely ruin his momentum. Through comes Coleman. He's got one. Is he going to go for the other one? He stays to the inside line, coming up towards Paddock Hill Bend once again. Can he gain 2 positions? He's going for it, and he's got ahead. Can he complete the move? He's gone a little bit deep. Now coming back at him is Vaughn in the 26 car. So Josh Coleman, he's gained 2, and he potentially will lose them both. Coming up towards Troyes. No, he stays on the outside line. He's just going to be hung out to dry out there. We get on board with Dave Edwards. We can use him as our camera car for this battle. The rest of the field are somewhat settled at the moment. Coleman, still on the inside line, manages to fend off the advances of the 165 car. Tiny nudge between the two. That's going to cost them momentum. Here comes Edwards now. It is a four-way battle for what is 7th position. Oh, now that was a bit of an uncomfortable moment for Edwards there. Now, as he didn't hit the brakes, that's just an unfortunate connectivity issue that he seems to be experiencing. It makes his car look like it's suddenly braking. It won't be that unless he was put off by Coleman for whatever reason. That did disrupt Edwards' momentum, but it's Von that's gone to the head of this particular group. But can he break away? That is going to be the big question. Coleman, from only doing 2 qualifying laps. Oh, big slide for a Acid there. Oh, is he going to lose it? He manages to keep hold of it. Is that going to give Edwards 9th? The 107 car does not need a second invitation there. Acid had to completely get out of that. And that has given 9th position to the 107 car. Jake Wardle still with the company of Colin Dunn. These two have just been inseparable all race long. Colin started in 3rd. Lost that podium spot to Jake Wardle. Yet to challenge for it as we've got 6 minutes left to go. As we've got side by side once again between Acid and Dave Edwards. Dave Edwards went a little bit deep, but was on the outside line coming through Clark. Nothing he was going to do there. And has to do it all over again. See what he's able to do. Hear how he's quite tentative coming through Paddock Hill Bend. Right, see what happens here then as they come over the line. Come out to it, sorry. For another time. So they're going to have to rebuild that momentum, rebuild the confidence, and start to push home their advantage. But that's allowed Von and Josh Coleman to get themselves a bit of a gap. Through clearways, down through Clark Curve once more. So these 4 fairly settled, but Josh Coleman looks set to try and push for that 7th position once more. Oh, it's so easy to push that tiny bit too hard on the exit of Paddock Hill Bend and throw all your hard work away. But up front, Tom O'Farrell has continued just to very slowly build that lead. Not really an awful lot. Will Johnson's been able to do that so far anyway. See how the rest of the race goes, as that's Mallinson and Sebastian Vroul have had a bit of a nudge. Bearing in mind Sebastian Vroul is a lap down. He's still racing though. Strictly speaking, you shouldn't, but a lap runner is allowed to unlap themselves as long as they do not impede the car they are unlapping themselves from. Personal best sector 2 for Jake Wardle last time around, so there is still some pace out there to find. That is allowing him to stay ahead of Colin Dunn. Has built that gap to around about a second, just shy of. Colin Dunn trying his best to home back in on the youngster, but only 3 and a bit minutes to go. The rest of the field now settling into their rhythm. Big slide, almost too deep for Tom O'Farrell. Won't lose an awful lot with that. Yeah, that is a very... I always find that noise quite odd. It sounds like the gearbox is about to fall out, but that is the noise they make when they change down. For those looking to get involved in the real-life counterpart, of the EnduroKa. Head over to EnduroKa.co.uk. All the details are there. Snetterton is the first race of the season. 12 hours of Norfolk. There's a lot of teams this season. This series has been growing in popularity since its inception in 2019. Or is that a mistake from Wardle? Has he gone a little bit too deep on the exit of Clearways? That will have cost him a tiny, tiny bit. He's worked so hard to build that gap, and look how defensive Wardle has gone. He knows he's made a mistake. He knows he's had to at least make a defensive posture. Colin was not close enough to really capitalise on that. But only a couple of laps left for Colin Dunn to do anything about it. Very, very close once again. So a potential challenge for third place. Andy Greer-Hardy and Von both doing personal bests in Sector 1 last time around. Andy Greer-Hardy very much on his own. And Von with no immediate challenge either. Acid trying to close back in on Joshua Coleman. To no avail yet, but as we've seen, one mistake is very, very easy to make and very costly. But it's costly in any form of motorsport, but in these very lightly powered cars, momentum is so crucial. Again, you see how Jake Wardle just glues himself to that inside line. Less than a minute to go. Is this going to be our final lap? Very much depends on what the clock says when Tom O'Farrell and Will Johnson cross the line. Colin Dunn may be relying on a mistake from Jake Wardle to recapture that third. Every advance he's tried to make, Jake Wardle has had an answer to it so far. See if there's... Oh, and that's a potential mistake from Colin Dunn there. Tiny bit deep going through Graham Hill Bend. He has actually managed to close in a 10th. Let's see where our race leaders are. There's Will O'Farrell. I think he's going to beat the clock. 5 seconds to go. He could bleed off the throttle a little bit. Does he beat the clock? He does, yes. Barely. Absolutely barely. So final lap then. Will Johnson's actually closed in about a second. So did Tom O'Farrell try and bleed out the throttle to beat the flag, to not beat the flag, beg your pardon? Well, if he has, it's backfired because suddenly Johnson is now on his case. Or Tom O'Farrell fancies a bit of a fight on the final lap. Either that or he's very light on fuel because now here comes Johnson. Is there an opportunity then for Johnson to try and challenge for the lead side by side now as they're coming up towards 30s? Is Tom O'Farrell going to relinquish the lead where he's going to hold that inside line? Will Johnson may have nowhere to go. Acid's very close. Oh my goodness, Sebastian Vettel's in there as well. Oh, Johnson, he's trying to get the momentum. They nearly come together. They're going to be side by side as they come over the line. Look at this. Oh, it's going to be Tom O'Farrell, or is it? No, it was Johnson by 200ths of a second. Oh, near a 300th of a second between the two, barely the width of the bumper. Wardle comes home to claim third from Colin Dunn. A wonderful race between those two. Greer-Hardy, a lone 5th place there. But what happened to Tom O'Farrell? I wonder if he was just that tiny bit too short on fuel. Because he had nearly 2 seconds gap and that disappeared. That sounds very much like he was a bit short on fuel as there was a potential change for 8th position going on. Greer-Hardy comes home 5th, Mallinson 6th, Von is going to have 7th, Coleman is going to lose out on 8th position. Is he on the way down towards the line? We've got another side-by-side going on. And Acid in the 165 is going to claim that from Coleman. And Dave Edwards over the line and Sebastian Vettel is off into the dust. Well, don't park up and get your spectator spot, Sebastian, just yet. Come over the line, would you? Would you please, kind sir? And that is Will Johnson, our race winner, coming into the pits. So Sebastian Vettel, then the last car over the line. It didn't go well for the 247 car. Started from the pit lane But Tom O'Farrell has parked it, and Colin Dunn is giving him some consolation out there. What happened to Tom O'Farrell? It very much sounded like... Oh, and Sebastian Vettel is also going to join him. Well, usually reversing on a racetrack would have an instant ban. Oh, and Sebastian Vettel is off. I'm not sure where he's going because I don't think there's an exit road there. Oh, okay, we're going to do the traditional sim racing thing of nudging and throwing your cars into the wall. Well, I mean, a very dramatic end to this particular race then. Well. Let's see if we have... I'm going to hop into the Discord here to see if we can pick up some drivers to have a chat to. There are a few drivers that have made themselves known. So let's have a chat then with... I don't see Jake Wardle. I do, however, see Will Johnson. So let's drag him over here. Will, are you with us?
Yes, hello.
Could you have made that any closer, sir?
Yeah.
Wow.
100 jumps, I could have made it half of that.
My goodness me.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, talk us through it from your side, because it looked like Tom kind of had the measure of you and then beat the clock by what looked like a tiny margin, and then suddenly you're on top of him and you squeaked away the win.
Yeah, he thought it was a final lap, or he was trying to make it the final lap, so he slowed down. But another lap, and I caught up to him.
Well, I won't hold you too long, because I think we are going to be going into the next session very, very shortly. But great win. Well done on opening the scorecard with the W, and we'll look forward, I'm sure, to speaking to you again very, very soon. Well done on the win, Will Johnson.
Yes.
Right. Whilst the session is ticking over to the next one, we will grab into here Tom O'Farrell. Tom, are you with us?
Hello. How you doing, Chris?
I'm very well, Tom. Wonderful to speak to you once again, good sir. You just wanted to make it a show, didn't you?
If I'm honest, I was trying to make sure we didn't have to do another lap, and then I slowed down, and I thought it was finished, and it was only because Colin said to me in the chat, "Oh, we're not finished." I was like, "Oh, okay, I better race then." And then, yeah, it's just, I know Will. He got a good drive at the last corner, so hats off to him. Race win, well done.
Is Brands usually a track that's kind for you? Is it a favourite home for you?
I used to be a motorsport marshal here, so it's basically home. And I think I've won every other KA E-Series race at Brands as well. So it's, yeah, I think I might know it.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. So how many blades of grass are there on the... No, we won't go that far. Well, it's very, very nice of you to let somebody else have a bit of silverware, Tom. And yeah, you and I have crossed paths in sim racing.
Yeah, we're on the grid. Sorry, 30 seconds.
Yeah, you do your thing, Tom. We'll catch up with you later. Thank you very much. Great podium. We'll catch up with you soon. Tom O'Farrell.
Thanks.
Right, well, we need to get straight on with the festivities then, as the reverse grid for the second race is formed. So that puts Josh Coleman and Sebastian Froome towards the top. We then... Oh, no, we've lost one already, I think. Unless that was the race control car getting out of the way. Well, we are away. Ready or not, here we go. So it's Coleman from Edwards from Acid. That is the top cars. I was somewhat still talking to people as they were trying to get themselves ready. Very, very short layover from one race to the next. So Coleman from Acid from Mallinson. Dave Edwards has not had a good start. He's been absolutely swamped. Look at all this lot. As we've got cars all over the place trying to get some space. Oh, there's a big near spin there for Mallinson of the 66. That's going to drop him all the way down. It was Vrul again that has to start from the pit lane. Oh, look at, if we go right on board with Greer Hardy, that's a very wayward Colin Dunn that's going up onto the grass. Oh my goodness me. I love reverse grid races. It gives so much action early on. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but Josh Coleman is up front. He's very, very deep on the opening lap. Well, there's Tom O'Farrell. Look at that, all the way up into fourth already. There's Wardle trying to make a move on acid. There's a great amount of momentum for Tom O'Farrell. He's going to go side by side. That's 3 wide as they come over the line. There's Coleman from O'Farrell from Wardle. That's a big slide there from Jake Wardle. Manages to catch it. Oh, goodness me. That could have gone horribly wrong. There's a big slide there from the red 165. But does manage to keep it. But here comes Wardle on Tom O'Farrell. Tom O'Farrell just manages to shut the door. And that's going to demote Coleman from the lead. Riding on board with Jake Wardle then coming down towards Graham Hill Bend once again. And that is Johnson that's trying to get involved in the action as well. I guess the inside line can't commit to it. Oh, that's going to put Wardle very, very wide as he goes even deeper. But Coleman must feel very, very uncomfortable at the moment. Look at that. That is how close he's got. He's getting, I should say, to Johnson. Oops, bit of a hip check there from Wardle on the side of Jake Coleman. That's going to cost him a couple of positions. But that's trouble for Mallington. That's Mallington off. That is it. Where is that? That's Clearways. He's gone off. Side by side coming over the line then. Wardle on the inside, keeping Johnson at bay for now. Or is he? He's sticking to it. Necessary racing room given from Wardle. Very nicely driven. Here comes Coleman. Can he do anything about it? He goes to the inside line and Druids. There's a timber between the two. Can Johnson hold it? He does hold it. He points the wheel in the right direction. Absolutely sticks his foot through the floor. But here comes Acid trying to get alongside Coleman and gets ahead of Coleman. Coming up through Graham Hill Bend. Goodness me. Here comes Colin Dunn as well getting involved in the action. Wow, that is absolutely incredible stuff. He's got Coleman. Can he get Acid as well? Oh my goodness me. Punch in the face for Colin Dunn. Coming up through Surtees into McLaren. Down into Clearways. Colin Dunn up into 5th then. So it's O'Farrell from Warden, from Johnson, your top 3 now. Here comes Colin Dunn on the 165 car. Side by side as he gets out of the slipstream. Can he get the move done? Right behind them, Coleman and Edwards are doing battle. Then it's Vaughn and Greer Hardy right behind them. Ooh, that was a very wide line there for Colin Dunn, trying to maximise his momentum out of... Oh, that's trouble for Edwards, is it? No, he had some impact. I think there may have been an impact between himself and Vaughn, which has dropped the 107 down a couple of positions. Greer Hardy has gotten ahead, but oh, now I've got a chance to catch my breath. Holy moly, that was absolutely bonkers. Ooh. Right, now I can afford to take stock of what's going on. Tom O'Farrell leads the way by a couple of seconds. Oh, that's why I love single spec racing. I love any racing, quite frankly, but these EnduroKas are absolutely amazing. O'Farrell from Wardle, from Johnson, your top 3. Oh, Greer Hardy's getting close to Vaughn, but not close enough to make a challenge. So now we have settled into the rhythm. It took a quarter of the race nearly to do it. Tom O'Farrell then leading the way, 2nd in our opening round. Very, very, very experienced racer of many different disciplines. As I've enjoyed his sim racing company many, many times over the years. Oh, that's Coleman on the inside of Acid. Acid's made a big mistake up at Druids. He's lost 2 positions. That's Coleman and Vaughn that have gone through. Oh, it's a big slide there for the 165. That's going to cost him all that valuable momentum. Greer Hardy on the inside line in the 119 car claims that 7th place. Coming through Graham Hill Bend. Nicely done. Johnson's getting close to the back of Wardle. A challenge for 2nd as well. 2.7 seconds for Tom O'Farrell up front. He's quite happy to dance off into the distance. Wardle gluing himself into that inside line. We saw that when he was defending himself from Colin Dunn last time around. Fastest lap of the race from Johnson. Gets that inside line, but can he hold it through Paddock Hill Bend? Oh, and that's Wardle off. Wardle ran out of space. And it just bogs down so heavily. He's going to be joined by Colin Dunn again. Colin Dunn gets an inside line. Can he get the move done up at Druids? He's got the inside, but has he got the momentum? No impact between the two. Well driven. Colin Dunn side by side with Jake Wardle, but Jake Wardle just about manages to fend off the advances of Colin Dunn. And those two are locked in a duel once again. The Jake's got to get back into the rhythm now. It's easier said than done. When you've had a big moment like that, it can take a little while to get back into the rhythm. Colin Dunn thinking about an inside manoeuvre, coming up through McLaren and into clearways. Doesn't get alongside though. Trying to wrong foot 155. Greer Hardy trying to get alongside Vaughn for 6th position. Again, the 26 car fends off the advances of the Team Caters, however you choose to say it. Colin Dunn again buzzing all over the tail of Jake what am I saying now? Jake Wardle, I beg your pardon. There's an opportunity now for Dunn. He's got the momentum coming out of Paddock Hill Bend. He gets up towards Druids. He was a tad hesitant there, going for the apex. And that's an overtake there for Greer Hardy, inside line of Druids, to get that 6th position out of Vaughn. Here comes Acid in the 165 car. David was not far behind either. Whoa, that looked very wide there for Wardle, but maintains his momentum though. We only saw a brief glimpse of it. Oh, and that's Dunn going for the inside line. Up through McLaren. But no, still Jake Wardle. Brilliant defensive driving from the Fiesta Junior racer. Riding on board once again with Colin Dunn. You can see the 155 coming across his nose. And again, does not give Colin Dunn any opportunity. Colin Dunn gets the slipstream, but nowhere to use that extra momentum. Backs off a little early. Tries to get a sweeter line through Paddock Hill Bend. Jake Hill? What am I saying? Jake Wardle. A little bit wide as Andy Greer Hardy gains another position there this time from Coleman. They're side by side coming up towards Druids once again. Coleman's also another one as that's Vaughn on the inside line. Oh, and that's trouble for Coleman. He's pulled immediately off. Wonder if he's been having difficulty for a while as he suddenly veered off and disconnects from the session. Joshua Coleman is out of this race. That's a great shame. A real shame. Joined very late in the session and has had some kind of technical difficulty or personal problem that has meant his immediate exit. That's a shame. There was some great racing going on there, but unfortunately not able to complete the race. Done on the back of Wardle still. As Colin gets the slipstream, but again faces the exact same problem he has done lap after lap after lap. Gets the momentum, but in the wrong place. Or in a place where he can't fully capitalise on it. Jake's car looks very loose from this perspective, but it's clearly working for him. He's got great pace. Not able to break away from Colin Dunn, and equally Colin can't overcome the youngster. Jake was a tiny bit deep going through Druids, but again, not enough of a pace difference for Colin to do anything about it. A really wide line through Graham Hill seems to be working quite well for Jake Wardle. Oops, that's a little bit too wide though. A bit of lawn mowing there from the 165 on the back of Vaughn. So those two locked in a duel for 6th place. Up front, Tom O'Farrell unchallenged this time. He's got himself 3.5 seconds from Will. Number 42 car. Oh, I think that was a lag moment there, which is causing the tower to get a little bit confused. Jake's fine. He hasn't lost positions. Colin Dunn is trying to do something about it. They are catching a back marker, though, in the form of Sebastian Vroul, who, again, either volunteered to or had a technical issue that meant he had to start from the pit lane. Flash of the lights there from Jake to indicate we're coming through. You're a lap down. Get out of the way. Well, what does Sebastian Vroul? He really ought to be getting out of the way. Gotten out of the way of one. And stays out of the way of Colin as well. Nicely done. Without really disrupting the battle for the last podium spot. Tom O'Farrell lost about a 10.5. Oh, there's been an impact. Oh, there's a slide. I think there was an impact there between himself and Colin Dunn that's put the 247 car into a spin. And he's retired the car, and now Colin Dunn's got the inside line. So Colin Dunn, having had a bit of an impact with Sebastian Vreul, has now just done a bit of a hip check there on the side door. Side door, I suppose, well, front door. Oh, and that's impact between Wardle and Dunn. And that's put Colin into a spin. Well, that's brought that particular battle to an end. Colin's now going to be very, very careful about how he rejoins. Ending up facing the wrong way. It's dropping the number 19 down. That's going to be through goes Dave Edwards as well. So that's 8th position for Colin Dunn. That's a shame. That's a huge shame. It was a wonderful battle in the first race. Looked set to continue for race number 2. But alas, no dice there. As Sebastian Vreul has left the session. So 2 retirements from this race. Josh Coleman, Sebastian Vreul both exiting stage left. Tomo Frau continuing to lead the way. He's affording himself a couple of tenths from Will. Oops, that's not going to help you, sir. Will Johnson, he was closing in a few tenths a lap, and that's going to cost him a few tenths back to the advantage of Tomo Farrell. 7.5 minutes left of this race. Well, what can Colin Dunn do? How much time can he reasonably gain? Well, he's got a few cars to challenge. See how well he is able to close that down in the next few minutes. Oh, Tomo Farrell very, very close to the dust on the exit of Paddock Hill Bend. There's Johnson, number 42, Haggerty Motorsports emblazoned car. New fastest lap of the race there from Tomo Farrell, 1:02.308. I beg your pardon, that's his fastest lap. The fastest lap of the race actually belongs to Will Johnson with a 1:02.248. Oh, that was someone into the grass. I think that was Andy Greer-Hardy. Oh, Colin Dunn's closing in on the back of Dave Edwards here. And Dave Edwards, well, that was either a mistake that pitched the 107 over to the inside line, or he's relinquishing the position. But I'd say, by the way that Dave Edwards didn't really just back straight out of the throttle, I think that was a mistake that potentially pitched him towards the inside line and opened the door for Colin Dunn to go through up into 7th place. So O'Farrell from Johnson from Wardle, your top 3. Same 3 from race 1 and in the same order. Greer-Hardy looking, whoops, beg your pardon. Andy Greer-Hardy looking at the back of Jake Wardle there. Jake made a mistake last time around, cost him a couple of seconds. Will Andy Greer-Hardy be able to close back in? We'll have to see. Colin Dunn is closing in on the back of the 165 car. And also, Rory Mallinson is having a look at the back of Dave Edwards here. This is for wooden spoon avoidance. Oh, yeah, you can see that Mallinson really had to hit the brakes there. He got very much caught out by the closing speed between himself and Dave Edwards. He slots in behind the lemon and lime coloured car. As Dave Edwards trying to break the toe. Oh, that was an indication of go through, I'm not going to challenge you. Which does happen if you feel that you are distinctly slower than the car behind you. There's nothing wrong with relinquishing the position. As Colin Dunn has a look on the inside line of Druids. Asset doesn't really change that. Tried to shut the door, but Colin was already there. And that is 6th position now to the number 19. And Dave Edwards now demoted into the wooden spoon position. Now, can Colin close in the next 4 minutes on the back of Von and challenge for 5th? That is going to be the real question here is Colin Dunn didn't get a great entrance, it looked like, into clearways. It's a bit uncomfortable coming through McLaren, but got the exit he needed. He's closing in quite nicely on the back of Von. He's pushing fairly hard, gets the inside, gets the momentum out of Paddock Hill Bend, inside line of Druids, and Von doesn't really challenge that. Again, accepting that Colin's not potentially in his race. It was Von and Acid that was locked in their duel last time around. As Colin Dunn then up into 5th position now. Following his spin, bouncing off the side of Jake Wardle. So Tom continuing to extend his lead up front. Another second or so, just under last time around. Wasn't quite as comfortable lap there from Will Johnson. To the field now, just re-establishing their rhythms really. Oh, again, tiny bit deep, but still keeping 2 wheels on the AstroTurf for Will Johnson there. Nearly 5 seconds separating the top 2. There's 15 seconds back to Jake Wardle. There's Andy Greer-Hardy coming through shot. Hasn't. Well, he was very close to Jake Wardle's pace, just a 100th slower, quicker than Jake Wardle. I'll get the right words out in the right order in a minute. Personal best sector 1 there for Greer-Hardy. A couple of hundredths quicker than Jake Wardle through that sector. Maybe a little too late though, as only 2 minutes on the clock. So Jake, despite the fact he's not defending from anybody, still chooses that very, very defensive line and then jumps out to resume the racing line coming up towards Druids. Acid and Von still fairly close together. There's Mallinson. That is not far behind them either, and closed in on the back of the 165 car by a good half second did Rory Mallinson. So there is a potential there for the 66 to challenge at least one of these 2 cars. Oh, not a very comfortable line through Druids though. That's going to cost him. Colin Dunn has broken away to the tune of 2 seconds, but no further from Von. All 4 of these cars kind of in sight of each other. Not in a position to challenge. So less than a minute to go until the checkered flag falls. Or is ready to fall. See where Tom O'Farrell is when the flag drops. He was caught out in race 1 by backing off the throttle slightly too late. But it must have been like right on the line or near enough when the timer ticked down. And we certainly got a bit more space to back off to not be caught out again. If you recall that Will Johnson was right on his tail. Less than a couple of seconds between the pair of them. It looks like Tom O'Farrell's just going to gun it over the line. And he's going to do it again, you know. He's going to beat the flag. Oh, no, he didn't. He did actually manage to let the timer elapse. So your winner for race number 2, Tom O'Farrell. Will Johnson chases him home for second. Oh, and there is a challenge there from Mallinson. So Rory Mallinson does actually get up into 7th position in the death of the race. Johnson has come home second. Jake Wardle has taken the 3rd podium spot. Andy Greer-Hardy comes home in 4th in the 119 car. Colin Dunn may feel a little bit aggrieved with 5th. It was still a good evening's battling with Jake nonetheless. Here comes Von to claim 6th. Mallinson feeling the need to defend very, very hard as they come over the line. And he claims 7th in the 66 car. Acid beaten back into 8th. And Dave Edwards claims the wooden spoon, unfortunately, for the 9th place spot. We lost Sebastian Vrul and we lost Jake Coleman in the course of the night. Big slide there for the 107 as he comes to rest. Wow! What a race. That was absolutely fantastic. As the rest of the cars then come back to rest following a very, very entertaining reverse grid race for the EnduroKa Winter Series, as hosted by Gridfinder on behalf of MSV. Wow, that was absolutely fantastic. Well, the drivers may be some drivers may be a little bit less willing to come and have a chat. Actually, Tom O'Farrell is still in the combox, so we may as well jump in and have a chat with him. Hello, Tom. Are you still with us? He's probably...
Hello.
Ah, Tom,
Sorry.
I kind of unceremoniously left you in the combox from when we were speaking in the transition from race 1 to race 2. That's why it was very quiet for you. But
I did wonder where all my friends went.
no, it's just unsavory of me to leave you there. But that one was a little bit, as reverse grid races tend to be, somewhat fraught in the beginning, and then you were somewhat unchallenged for the rest of the evening.
Well, after losing out by, what was it, 100th race
so.
before, I thought I'd just go and prove a point. So
it's always a pleasure to chat to you, Tom. We've crossed paths numerous times. It's wonderful to see you as part of this series as well. So, how close do you feel this is to the real thing? Admittedly, the Ford KAs is not exactly an awful lot to them, but they still have their own intricacies. They still have their own way of getting the best out of them. How close is it, represented here in Assetto Corsa?
If I'm honest, the mod's not the best. I was fortunate enough in last year, 2024, to be able to take part in an actual race at Donington Park with the EnduroKa guys. And if I'm honest, this mod, you want it to be as well. Driving this car on Assetto Corsa, you want it to be as stable as possible. You don't want any sliding at all. However, it's completely the opposite when you go into the real life. You're sideways all the time. So it's not quite exact. The tyres are a bit off on the mod as well. There's a few things that need changing, and it was suggested before the start of this series that they get changed. But yeah, it's as close as you're probably going to get on the budget. But yeah, there are a few improvements to make it even closer, even more realistic. But it's still good fun to drive.
And that's the main thing. And speaking of Donington, that is where we head to for the full GP circuit next weekend on the 18th of January. You looking forward to that?
Oh, that should be all right. Yeah, I mean, the GP is going to be a bit interesting, considering, I think, previous years in the Sim Series, it's been the national circuit. So, yeah, obviously the slightly different chicane and the two hairpins will be, throw up a lot of difficulties, especially trying to set up the car. So.
Fair enough. I'm sure we will be chatting once again, and I thoroughly look forward to it. A well-deserved win on the second attempt, a great podium on the first race of the night. Thank you very much, Tom O'Farrell.
Cheers, Chris. Thanks.
Well, as our other podium attendees have disappeared, I will call an end to tonight's festivities. As mentioned, we head to, as you can see on screen, Donington Park GP next time out for rounds 3 and 4. And then on the 1st of February, it is Croft that sees out this somewhat truncated but no less entertaining winter series. We hope to see you next time around for rounds 3 and 4.